Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology. And today, Pisces Full Moon September 10th, 2022 and you. What themes within your world are getting more and more illuminated as this full moon grows bigger and bigger within the night sky? This full moon is truly a balance of matter and magic, of flow and force. And it really is asking for surrender even at a time when you can feel like, I don't have the time nor the bandwidth to surrender. This full moon is asking you to trust in something bigger, in something deeper, and in the magic that it's brewing within this sector of your chart. So don't you worry, because we are breaking it all down collectively, what it is that we can all expect. We are breaking down how you can find which house this lands in within your chart. Not to worry, I will give you a demo within this video of how to find that. And then we'll take it house by house so you can see how this is interacting within your chart and what themes are coming to the surface. So loves, without further ado, let's dive into it. Full moon in Pisces 2022. So collectively, what can be expected with the Pisces full moon? So the Pisces full moon exacts early on September 10th at 2:59 a.m. PDT to be exact. It lands at 17 degrees Pisces. And this full moon squares Mars in Gemini. It conjoins Neptune in Pisces, and it sextiles Uranus and Pluto. So it's sort of like a mix of energies, some very helpful and some a little overwhelming and scattered. So let's break it down piece by piece. Firstly, let's illuminate what this axis is all about, the Virgo-Pisces axis. So this axis is commonly referred to as the serve or suffer axis. No, it does not mean that we're going to suffer during this full moon, but truly Virgo and Pisces both have a desire to serve, albeit their strategies of how it is to be of service are different. Virgo wants to support in practical, tangible ways, whereas Pisces wants to be a conduit for universal source energy. It wants to be a spiritual healer. So while both the Virgo sun and the Pisces full moon want to be in service, want to be in devotion to something bigger, there is this balance, this teeter-totter energy between the two around what's the best course of action to do that. Virgo wants to plan and organize and analyze. It's very earthy, it's very grounded. Whereas Pisces is asking us to surrender into the sensation of trust, into the sensation around it's time to do less. Because with this lunation, things can feel overwhelming, and Mars and Gemini is involved, so you might feel like your answers and your solutions will come if you do more, if you take on more on your plate. But the Pisces full moon is whispering, this is actually a time to do less. This is actually a time to surrender. You might feel like you have to achieve your way to your life purpose, but this is actually a time that you are being supported by something bigger. And in those moments when you're like, I'm too busy to meditate, or in those moments when you're like, there's so much to do, I don't have time to connect with you, that Pisces full moon is asking you to just relax. Those goals and those to-dos and those routines are nothing if you don't feel the sensation of being able to connect to something bigger than just yourself, than just the mundane. It sort of is a vacation of a full moon in a sense, because we've been running around like chickens with their heads cut off this Virgo season, feeling like we have to do more, achieve more, do, more. But so much of the cosmos right now is actually saying rest, reset, rejuvenate. I mean, we have Mercury retrograde, Mars is in its pre-retrograde shadow, and keep in mind, Mars is involved in this lunation. So there's this feeling around, I've got to do more, I've got to put more on my plate. Connect to my spirit? No. Go on like a mini vacation? No. There's too much to do. But this Pisces full moon is saying, trust me, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Take a vacation from the problems, take a vacation from the inconveniences, allow yourself to surrender. And universe, whatever you want to call it, universe, cosmos, there is a solution, but it's only when you are able to rest, only when you are able to sort of take a time out, when you are able to give to your soul, is that you are going to find this creative or inventive solution. Like oftentimes, where you find the solution is in a totally different place than where it is that you're finding the problem. So with the energy in Virgo, like a lot of us are looking at our world and being like, okay, I need to improve and analyze and refine, and that's beautiful. And I encourage that because it is Virgo season. However, this Pisces full moon is saying, hello, there's an easier way to do this. Does it matter if we are making sure that we're going to Pilates every day and flossing and killing it at work if we don't feel connected to our heart space? If we don't remember the why of what it is that we are doing? What is the use? And with this lunation, it's asking you to bring that back into balance. When you feel that sensation around, I've got to do more, I've got to take on more, I've got to launch this new thing, the cosmos are saying rest, relax, catch your breath. Your purpose will not pass you by. This is not a time to be concerned around initiation, go and go. You'll feel that way, certainly. This lunation squares Mars. There will be a sensation around, I got to keep up with my world, I got to keep up with this pace. Relax. In those moments when things feel hectic, when you are feeling a sensation of pressure, like I've got to do more, I've got to achieve more, I've got to do more, I dare you to take a beat. Because in that space, in that meditation, even just taking a second to just sit and stare at the sky, you're going to return to the big picture, and you're going to feel a sensation of trust and the sensation of surrender around, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I don't need to rush to get to my life purpose. I don't need to rush to be able to be this conduit for source energy or to be of service to my fellow humans or whatever this big picture is that you are aligning to. Rest, take a beat. When the world gets faster, just get slower, and allow yourself to return to the big picture, because this lunation conjoins Neptune, hence why so much of it is mystical, which we would already highlight within Pisces, but since it's with Neptune, I mean, this is about truly surrender and truly dissolving. Like those sensations when there is no separation between you and what it is that you are doing, when you are truly a conduit for muse, if you are someone who is artistic, or truly a conduit for compassion, when you are volunteering, or truly a conduit for love, when you're spending time with your children, those moments when you just dissolve, those moments when you remember that you're part of something so much bigger and you're able to really get to the sense of meaning within your world and the sense of who it is that you are as an individual. And those moments when you come back to like your personal purpose, your personal sense of why, those moments that transcend the mundane, the practical, that's what this lunation is asking you to balance. And with this lunation, with it conjoining Neptune, certainly intuition can reach a high. I really want you to observe what illuminations come to the surface, what ideas. That's also why I'm encouraging a little mini vacay, and I mean that in a metaphoric sense. I'll give more tips in this video of ritual suggestions, but I'm asking you to take a siesta. I'm asking you to take a beat back from life, because when you take a step back around, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, you're gonna be able to tune to the big picture and pay attention to what truly matters in this world, which, even though it's the most important areas of our life, it's the easiest to ignore. It's the easiest to ignore. Oh, I'll spend time with them later. I'll spend time with them later. Or, oh, I'll help out with that cause later. I'll help out with that later. Oh, I'll connect deeper into my intuition later. It's like that. The Neptunian Pisces part to our life, it's quiet and it can be dulled out by noise and traffic and to-dos and work and all of the things that Virgo is making us attuned to. But it's so important. It's whispering, hey, there's an easier way to do this. You don't need to struggle your way to your life purpose. You don't need to add more on your plate. You need to actually do less. You need to be more present with what it is that you do. And that's going to be infuriating. I know a lot of you are watching this and you're like, you don't have my life. I am so busy. I don't have a second to take a pause. Please do this Pisces full moon. I really encourage you. There is certain wisdom that we can really access, and I deeply encourage going woo-woo, however that looks like for you, in order to connect your intuition with this Pisces full moon conjoining Neptune. And I do want to draw in a focus because I've kind of detailed it here and there, but this lunation does square Mars and Gemini. So it's a lot of mutable energy, so we could feel chaotic. We could feel all over the place. And it's like, if you've ever been in a rush and you start making sloppy mistakes because you just had to go from thing to thing to thing, that's the energy of this full moon. And there will be the sensation of panic around, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? But it's like, when so much stimuli and so much is going on and there's so many distractions, it's easy to let little details fall through the cracks. And then the Virgo sun is beating you up about those little details that you're letting fall through the cracks. But maybe there's too much on your plate. With Mars retrograde incoming and Mercury retrograde occurring, it's about tying up loose ends. It's about following out energy. It's about doing less rather than more, okay? And with this lunation squaring Mars and Gemini, we could just feel frantic. We could feel chaotic. We could feel all over the place. There's two helping hands to this lunation. The lunation is sextiling Uranus and Taurus, and it's sextiling Pluto and Capricorn, two earthy energies. So with this lunation, it's like, yes, connect to your spirit, take a little siesta from the mundane aspects of life, but the illuminations that are coming to the surface are going to practically help you in life. Okay, sometimes taking a rest, taking a pause from the daily grind is the most productive thing that you can do, because these are two opportunity aspects. That's what sextiles are. And it's an earthy signs, which is about what's grounded. And it's really encouraging us. Like, you can find innovative solutions. That's Uranus in Taurus. And the ability to transform and transcend and let go of what's not serving. That's Pluto and Capricorn. When you allow yourself to return to the big picture, when you're like, wait, okay, let me take a step back. Maybe I have too much on my plate and that's why I feel stressed and I'm letting these really important facets of my life pass me by. Maybe I need to trust in my own becoming, trust in this particular sensation of my journey rather than rushing on to the next step. This full moon really just feels like an exhale. It's just like, it's like you've been running and running and running and it's just like, wait, what am I running to? What even am I passionate about? What even is my big picture? What do I believe in? That's this full moon. Because with the panic of Virgo season, the frazzled, flustered energy of Virgo season, we could be so busy doing, gotta get there, gotta get here, that we're forgetting around the big picture, around, wait, I've been trying so hard to make this particular job successful that I haven't really been able to realize, like, I am utterly unhappy within this industry. Or maybe I've been so busy trying to make this connection work, when in reality, we're two different people. There's this energy around surrender. You'll feel like I need to do more. I need to try harder. But this is a full moon that's like, just exhale, just breathe, just see how everything lands. Allow your spirit to talk to you. And you'll be able to really connect in ways that help you enrich your real practical life. So if you're someone where it's like your chart is more practical and logical naturally, and you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have time to connect spiritually and all the things, I promise you it's going to be the most productive thing that you can do. To listen to your spirit, to connect what it is that gives you meaning, and to escape from the daily grind, albeit in a constructive way. See, this is really important, because with the conjunction of Neptune, we can overindulge. Let's be real. Neptune whispers to us, come away. Escape, like get away from it all. And Pisces wants to escape as well. So with the bubbling emotions of this full moon, because keep in mind, a lot of these illuminations that I'm talking about, it's not always just sitting and meditating and being like, sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's realizing, wow, I've been trying so hard to make this work and I just need to let it go, and it's heartbreaking, but I can just feel that's what I'm meant to do. Not every illumination that will come to the surface during this full moon is like, wow, I'm so connected to source energy and everything's great. Some of it is going to be heartbreak realizations around this isn't meant to be, or heartbreaking realizations around I've been trying to keep myself in a daze around why it is that this isn't working. So with the Pisces full moon, we really have to grant ourselves a space to be able to feel the widest spectrum of emotions. The happiest happies, the saddest sads, because with it in Neptune, it's like we are so much more empathetic. We are so much more emotional. We are so much more attuned to other people's suffering as well. Like I said, server suffering, even humanity's suffering. Maybe that's what the big picture is around, okay, you've been hustling and doing all of these things. Like, are you attuning to like what it is that humanity is going through at this moment? And that can be a heavy thing to realize. It can be heavy to attune to our spirit, or to attune to what it is that we need to surrender and do less around. Like, that can be heartbreaking. So I don't mean to speak about this full moon in terms of, oh, all of the illuminations are going to be great. You're just going to meditate by a creek and just feel so aligned. Many of you will feel that. Some of you, there's going to be a message, and it's like maybe that's why you've subconsciously been so busy and running around doing so much, because you haven't wanted to face it. And so with this Pisces full moon, take an escape, okay? Take a little escape from the daily grind. The Virgo energy will be like, we don't have time for that. please, this Pisces full moon, carve some time. I keep emphasizing this: escape, escape, escape. And escape constructively, because the desire to escape in destructive tendencies can be very high at this time. There can be a strong call to overindulge. There could be a strong call to run away from all your problems at the bottom of a bottle or something of the nature. While this full moon does require us to sort of take a time out of life, I would really ask that you do so in ways that enhance your intuition rather than numb yourself out from your emotions, because your emotions are telling you something during this full moon, your intuition is telling you something during this full moon, and a lot of times those substances can actually numb us out from it as we search for this feeling of euphoria, which sort of masks the emotional and energetic data that this full moon is bringing to the surface. So now that we've gotten you familiar with the Pisces full moon, let's take it into ritual suggestions. So how would I suggest celebrating? I've already kind of detailed a couple of ways, but I would really just ask that you take some sort of time out from the daily grind. Like I mentioned, you're gonna feel a lot of pressure, feeling overwhelmed, having a lot on your plate, but I would really encourage sometime over the weekend doing something that's a disruption of your typical routine. Something like the beach or nature or church if you often don't go, or something that allows you to return to the perfection of the big picture, because Virgo season is really just a magnifying glass looking at all of the elements of our life and of ourselves that are imperfect. This full moon asks us to return to the big picture and the perfection of the big picture of it all. So with this lunation, I would deeply suggest getting somewhere where you just feel in awe of the mysticism and the magic of life. Some people, that could be a concert, that could be, as I highlighted, going out dancing, like anything that allows you to connect outside of to-dos and errands and the go speed, and allows you to return to your personal big picture. I do want to let you know that since this lunation does conjoin Neptune, we could be a little bit more empathetic and sort of be a little bit more absorbent of other people's emotions and energy. So really important to protect your energy, doing something like a salt bath or something to seal off your energy fields before and after you are around a lot of people. It can be overwhelming during this lunation. As I highlighted, our intuition is dialed up, our emotional radar is dialed up, and our empathy is dialed up. So you could be taking on a lot of people's stuff. So really important, whether you carry grounding crystals, you have some sort of protection spray, or you just do something to seal off your energy before you go in amongst crowds or leave. For some, if you are someone who's easily overwhelmed, it might be best to kind of take your little escape in a place that is more secluded, nature, something of the nature, to just really be able to tune in. I would really recommend any modality truly that allows you to dive deeper into your intuition. Beautiful day for cards, oracle cards, tarot cards, anything of that nature, pendulums, anything that helps you connect to your spirit, as well as if you are someone who is religious and that gives you a sense of bigger piece of comfort and surrender, going to church, anything that takes you away from the day-to-day and allows you to return to that big picture. Now, I am partial with this full moon conjoining Neptune. Great day to be around the ocean. Neptune is obviously the god of the sea, and it's really lovely and cleansing to be around bodies of water during the Pisces full moon. So if you can't physically be by the ocean, maybe a lake, a river, or just taking lots of baths will help you connect. I deeply recommend taking a spiritual bath. If you're not as familiar with them, there's lots of resources online, but how I typically do it is I put in crystals into the bath, which is really nice. Helps like infuse the water, as well as having some sort of Epsom salt. Salt's really good because it helps us kind of cleanse. Maybe even like burning incense or having some essential oils in there. Something like a bath that you take that essentially is beyond just a bath, right? Like kind of infuse it with that mysticism and that magic and really go into it as a ritual. Like, okay, within this bath, I'm going to connect to my intuition. I'm going to picture all of the negativity or all of the indecision or whatever it is that you're grappling with at the time being. I want you to see the water absorbing it and then watch as the water goes down the drain as you just release, release, release. And do highlight, sometimes I do put crystals in the bath water, as I highlighted, because it helps charge it, but make sure they don't go down your drain. drinking, because that's probably not good for your pipes. So with this Pisces full moon, all in all, connect to your intuition, do less, not more. Find that ease of surrender. The answers that you are looking for are not going to be found by doing more. Okay, they're going to be actually found by doing less. So carve some space, connect to your intuition, cry, okay? Cry is a huge release, allowing yourself to feel the giant spectrum of emotions. I would avoid any sort of substances. The desire to indulge will be high, but I would personally avoid it, as we can be a bit overboard at this time, especially with all of the sensitive insights that are coming to the surface. And furthermore, enjoy. Like, this Pisces moon is a time to connect to our heart space, connect to our soul space. So now that we've gotten you familiar with the collective overall themes of the Pisces full moon, I wanted to share how you can find where this Pisces full moon is landing in your chart and what themes it's bringing to the surface within your world. So there are two strategies to do this. The first being is the one that I recommend if you are more of a beginner within astrology. So this would be the whole sign house system. So all you need to do to find which house this lands in within your chart is you will find your rising sign, which you can find on online resources like astro.com or the app Nuit, which I am the lead astrologer for, to find what your ascendant sign is. And then you'll look below, and I have listed likely Scorpio rising, jump to that timestamp, or likely Pisces rising. All you need to do is find that rising sign and you are good. The other strategy, and this is if you use Placidus. Now you can use either. I personally found within my practice that I find Placidus is more accurate. However, it is more difficult to find. Hi loves, I recorded this, but I felt like it might be more effective to do this in editing just so I can show you exactly how to do this. So firstly, what you'll do is you'll go to astro.com or anything else where you have a circle chart. This is really important because this is literally a picture of the night sky or morning sky at the moment that you were born. So when you say, oh, I don't have any Pisces with my chart, that's not true, because that's always a sector of the sky. So it's simply finding out which house, life arena, that sector of the sky represents within your world. Thus, which themes are coming to the surface with this Pisces full moon. So, step one, find your circle chart. Beautiful. And make sure it's your chart, because we're looking at where it's impacting your world. Next step, find the Pisces symbol. So it looks like an H. In astro.com, it is blue. It depends on the chart calculator you use, but you'll look for the H kind of with curved sides, and you'll find that. So we see within this example, in our planet Janet, we see that that Pisces symbol is in between the 4th house, because look at the numbers on the inner ring. This is the 4th house and the 5th house. We see that Pisces, the sign, end to end, spans over those two. Amazing. We have found where Pisces lands within our chart. Now we need to find 17 degrees. And I think this is the part that confuses a lot of people. So if you get lost, simply just listen to both of the readings of where you have Pisces and see which one resonates. That's all good. Totally good to do. The next step is if you really want to see where it lands within your individual chart. So what you'll do is you will look towards these little marks within the chart. So let's zoom in. So see these little marks? So what that's designating is degrees of 5. So every sign has 30 degrees, thus 12 signs, 360 degrees, a complete look of the sky, right? Which is why we have every single sign and every single degree in our chart somewhere. Okay, even if you don't have any planets, like with our inner planet Janet, she doesn't have anything in Pisces, right? But it still represents certain themes within her world. So knowing that these little marks are 5 degrees each away from one another, we are going to find 17 degrees because that's where this full moon is landing. So we see this is 5 degrees Pisces. Oh, and P.S., you're going to start on the side that's closest to Aquarius because Aquarius comes before Pisces. So where Aquarius ends and Pisces begins, this is 0 degrees Pisces, okay? So it goes 5 degrees Pisces, 10 degrees Pisces. The 10 degree are always a little bit longer, 15 degrees Pisces. 20 degrees Pisces. Okay, so we're at 17. So we see that it is in between here. So it would land around here, 17, because we know 17 is between 15 and 20. And so we would say, oh, okay, it's landing within my 4th house. Now, let's say you have a chart where you can't really tell. Like, let's say this full moon was a little bit further. It was actually in between 20 and 25. And you're like, I can't tell actually. What you're gonna do, and this instruction will be for astro.com. What you're gonna do is there's this great little resource right here, additional tables. Some chart calculators will mention this when you go to the houses section. Like I know New Wheat will let you know which sign, which degree each house lands in. This is just the instructions for astro.com. So we see within inner planet Janet, the 5th house starts at 21 degrees. So anything that is in Pisces past 21, so if the full moon was, let's say, at 22 degrees, 23 degrees, we know it lands in the 5th house. But for this one, we know it's at 17 degrees Pisces, which comes before 21. So we know it must be in the preceding house, which is the 4th house. It's listed as IC here, but IC is where the 4th house begins. Ascendant is where the 1st house begins, Descendant is where the 7th house begins, and MC is where the 10th house begins. Those are just the angles that set them off. But just a heads up, just in case anybody gets that space and is lost. So that's how you can find where in Placidus house system this full moon lands in within your house and within your world. Back to the video. Okay, so now that we've gotten you a lay of the land, the vibe of the moon, it's time to take it house by house. So let's start with if this Pisces full moon lands within your 1st house. So you may potentially be a Pisces rising, not always. So if you do use Placidus, make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces. Okay, so mutable signs are overwhelmed right now. Mutable signs are scattered right now. And if you have this landing here, it would denote that you most likely have mutable signs in angular houses because it would link the full moon in your 1st house, the sun in your 7th house, and then Mars in Gemini in your 4th house. So you're feeling pulled in a lot of different directions. What time out or what siesta your chart is asking you to take is around reconnecting to what it is that you want. You could have found that people are criticizing you or telling you to live in a particular way. Perhaps even family members are trying to criticize your life decisions or you're having conflict with them. And what this full moon is asking, take a beat, like connect to the person that you are, reconnect with your spirit, with your you-ness, because you might feel pulled in so many directions that you're like, I don't even know who I am or what it is that I am doing. I feel so scattered trying to be everything for everyone else. Who are you? Who are you? And connecting to your spirit can kind of nudge you in that direction. It's like, I've been trying so hard to make this connection work, but am I even happy? Like, this is the vibe, whether it's a job interview or a date. If you're someone where you're typically concerned around, gotta be the best, gotta make them love me, gotta make them hire me, this energy where it's like, wait, I also have agency. Are you enough for me? Is this position, is this connection enough for me? Like, this is a lunation that returns you back to your personal big picture and where that's felt out of balance, trying to be everything and do everything for everybody else. It's time to be selfish. I don't know if it's going to be like family members asking you if you could help with something or relationships and partnerships kind of putting more pressure on you. But this full moon, I would really encourage taking a step back, like be alone for a little bit, go on a little hike, do something alone, because it feels like you're not being able to listen to your voice of your intuition over the hubbub of what everybody else wants from you. So this is the time to take a step back and also attune to your identity within the landscape of the world. Like, where is it that you feel in complete alignment with the person that you are meant to be? And where do you feel like certain parts of your identity got lost in translation? Like, if you're like, wait, I'm working in insurance, what happened to me being a creative? Like, why have I forgotten about that part to my personality? This full moon is asking you to take that step back. And I do want to prep you, it can feel overwhelming. You can feel torn a lot of different directions. There can be certain emotional reveals or a desire to take action, but I really encourage you, take a step back and consider, what is it that I want? What is it that I want within my partnerships? Because this links 1st and 7th house. So there could be certain family drama, relationship drama, just people asking a lot of you. And before you sort of like play the role, like be the one who's always saving and fixing everybody else, really take a step back and be like, are they supporting me? Like, it really is a lunation about being a little bit selfish, because if you have this here, you're likely someone who's constantly helping other people or even trying to save other people. And this illumination around, I've got to save myself in order to save you. So really taking that step back to be like, okay, before I jump into action, taking on everything for everybody else, let me take a step back. What is it that I need to give myself and honor that wisdom? Please excuse the brief interruption, just editing me, chiming in with another interpretation. As beyond identity and self, first house is also physical body, physical appearance, how it is that we present ourselves to this world. And I want you to notice any illuminations that do come to the surface. So if there is an aesthetic that no longer feels in alignment, you're like, this is not how my soul wants to dress. This is not a reflection of the person that I am. So often we think of being focused on our appearance as something that is self-centered or narcissistic, but truly, as a spiritual being, this full moon's very spiritual, obviously, we came here on earth to experience the material realm and to connect to this body and present ourselves in a way that feels in alignment with the person that we are. So I want you to observe if you're like, this is not the way I want to dress any longer, or I want to start experimenting with my makeup, or I want to try this new hairstyle. Honor that wisdom that can bubble from within. I also want to illuminate that Neptune can represent where it is that we are lacking boundaries, and so also illuminate if there's any behaviors within your physical body that you're not necessarily being mindful of your boundaries, whether that is over-consuming substances or overeating, anything of that nature. This full moon can bring those tendencies to the surface. Now, I would avoid doing anything drastic when it comes to your physical appearance. There is such a difference from a soul-driven insight around, I want to treat my body better, or I want to be presented in this way, or I want to channel this aesthetic. There is such a difference between that and randomly deciding you want to undergo drastic plastic surgery. And the reason I'm discouraging that is because Neptune fogs where it's transiting through. And since it is in your first house, you may not have a realistic grasp on what it is that you look like. Oftentimes, Neptune can often deal with projections as well. So you can be dealing with people assuming all sorts of things about you that aren't necessarily the truth. And as well as, you know, it's fogginess both sides. Like, you're not necessarily being super clear on what it is that you look like or your identity or things of nature, and other people aren't seeing you clearly as well. So with that being said, with this Neptune haze going on here, I want you to firstly not commit to anything drastic. Like, find those little shifts in ways that make you feel more you, more comfortable, but resist doing anything random or out of the ordinary, because with Neptune, it fogs where it's transiting through. And I also don't want you to get too attached to the opinions and the judgments from other people, because with Neptune, people can be projecting a lot onto you, and a lot of it is not necessarily the truth. So I want you this full moon, return to your personal truth outside of the projections and the judgments and the assumptions of other people's. So if this Pisces full moon lands within the second house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be an Aquarius rising, not always though. So listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces, or just listen to rising sign if you don't know how to find that. Okay, so for you, there is an illumination around your values. And my love, for some of you, there could have been a hard time really being able to put your finger on it, honestly. Like, you could be someone who is severely undervaluing yourself. If you are someone who sets your own rates, you could be someone where it's like, oh, but it's my craft, like I have to be able to give this for free, or it's my duty to be able to do this. And this illumination where it's like, recognize the value of your soul and of your gifts, okay? And don't allow people to siphon that. This is a full moon when you can find that you are really feeling spiritually compensated for the work and for the value that you create. This lunation is a time to surrender. Like, there can be certain financial stresses or a desire to want to know it all. And this full moon is like, I know my needs are taken care of right now, and tomorrow I'm going to figure out the next step and the next step. Like, you know, with this Virgo season, it's so funny because so much of it is about have to make a plan, have to dial in. And with the Pisces full moon, it's like, you just have to trust. And for you, it's like financial trust, whether it's like your business has been in a lull, and this is a time when you're like, okay, I just need to trust that the universe wanted to free up this time so I could address this other project. Or if it's like you recently got laid off, or there's some sort of change to your income, like trusting a new opportunity is coming. If you're someone where you're at your job and you've lost touch with your why, this is a lunation that brings it back to the service around, this is why I do what it is that I do, and bringing back to the value that you carry. Because keep in mind, with with this axis, it could be sort of martyrdom. So I'm curious if some of you have almost been in this martyrdom around money, whether it's, you know, like giving it too freely to individuals when they ask. There can be this energy where you might not feel like you are receiving as much as you're giving, and you're completely in your heart space when it comes to money. And this is an energy around allowing yourself to receive. And for some of you, this axis, it can speak to sort of like martyrdom roles. So some of you could sort of be in a martyr role when it comes to your finances. So it's like, yeah, I'm underpaid at my role, but I'm just lucky that I have a job. Or for some of you, keep in mind, general reading, but this lunation is most likely squaring Mars in your 5th house. So for some of you, you could be spending a lot of money on your children or something of the nature and being like, yeah, I don't need anything for myself. Like, it just goes all to them, which is beautiful and laudable. But I do want to highlight that this lunation is trying to bring it back into focus around recognizing the value that you have, not only just to monetary level, but like to a spiritual level, like the role that you play, the lives that you impact, and knowing that you are worthy of receiving. Some of you, if you've been experiencing a lot of stress around money, this is sort of asking you, like, have you ever noticed how much water terminology we use when it comes to money? Like the flow of abundance, like streams of income. And it's very interesting to me that the two planets that really largely have to do with money, Venus and Jupiter, are exalted in water signs, right? Like water is our ability to let flow and to spend and trust that we will receive back in return. So for some of you, you can be asked to kind of highlight your money mindset around where it is that you have felt unworthy of spending money on yourself, or if you're someone who spends it the second that you got it, where is it that gave you this urgency, this feeling that if you don't use it, you'll lose it? It kind of is asking you to connect to the spiritual value of money, because, you know, money, we think of it as something materialistic, but it is energy, and it's asking you, how is it that you are treating money, and are you treating it through this lens of trust, through this lens of surrender, with this lens of respect for the broader spiritual theme that it presents in your world, or are you not treating it as such? And this is a lunation that asks you to bring that back into balance, as well as recognize the value that you have. This would be an aligned time. I mean, second house is possession. So if you've been wanting something, a new crystal, a new, you know, deck of cards, something lovely. It doesn't even have to be necessarily spiritual. Like, just to give an example, this isn't where it's landing within my house, but within my chart, but I'm someone where I do not typically spend money on myself. Like, pretty much all of my clothes are hand-me-downs, legitimately. And recently I've been having a lot of sleeping problems, and so I decided that I decided to invest in some really lovely satin pajamas to sort of just signify, you know, my transition to go to sleep, and it being this lovely thing to kind of infuse more gentleness into the process. So it can be something like that, where it's something physical and tangible, just satin PJs, but it represents something bigger. It represents that you deserve to have a wonderful night's sleep, or you deserve to have a space in your home where you feel safe to meditate, or you deserve to wear clothes that make you show up as your highest self. It asks you to see the spiritual component within the money that you spend, the money that you earn, and to really elevate these purchases to be really reflective of your bigger picture values. So if this Pisces full moon lands within the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Capricorn rising, not always though, if you use Placidus. So make sure to go by the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces. So my loves, this lunation is bringing to the surface your mind and your words, your communication in your social media, and how it is that it is utilized. Okay, so for some of you, it can be very challenging around this lunation to be able to logically wrap your mind around how it is that you are feeling. Like, you might be in touch with your emotions, but it might be really hard to communicate it if you observe something and it's like kind of harder to verbalize. Like, this is why I'm upset. Can you do this? With Neptune, it fogs where it is, so it can be really hard to be able to verbalize, this is why I'm upset, this is what I need you to do. For some of you, you may be coming out of the spiritual closet, so to speak, in a sense, around if you've been into this stuff, but you haven't really shared it openly or felt safe to share it on social media or to share your gifts or anything of the nature. This full moon can bring it to the surface that this is a spiritual form of service, and that you can be asked to be able to transmit spiritual or mystical insights in a very like kind of tangible or logical or rational or linear way, right? Like being able to take intuitive gifts and transmit them into words, into something that we can understand, is an art. And with this full moon, there can be certain gifts or a desire to tap more into those gifts coming to the surface. For some of you, you can feel a call around wanting to understand deeper these spiritual or ethereal sort of modalities. I would definitely honor those little whispers if you suddenly feel this call around it's time for you to read tarot, particularly with this lunation. It's squaring Mars in Gemini, which is most likely landing in your 6th house. Gemini rules the hand, so you might feel a desire around wanting to pick up an instrument or wanting to pick up card reading or Reiki or anything that has to do with like hands-on modalities in order to connect to a big picture, whether that's a spiritual purpose or something beyond that. Now, 3rd house also has to do with our siblings, extended family members. If there has been any beef, Neptune opens our hearts, so this can be a lunation when you're able to find forgiveness and compassion for those individuals. 3rd house is also our word, our mind. So while it can feel foggy, I would deeply recommend going by yourself to like journal, to connect with your own sort of stream of words. This can be a gifted writing transit to really be able to tune into your spirit and transmit it into words is what I would deeply encourage with this lunation. And for some of you, the call is because you do feel to be someone very practical. And because you're so practical, at times you could think down or talk down to your spiritual gifts or to your desire to dive more into spirituality or anything of that nature. Because if you have this here, you most likely, you have Virgo in your 9th house. So you are someone who can be good or naturally intelligent when it comes to absorbing these higher level topics, but it feels to be like you can be someone who sort of judges it or thinks, well, that's not logical, well, that's not practical. And this lunation can also be a call to integrate the spiritual knowledge and wisdom that you have within your day-to-day. It's like you might be someone who is knowledgeable about energy exchange, but you're not really taking the time to set up your day to cleanse off and seal off your energy. You could be someone who's very knowledgeable when it comes to astrology, but you're not integrating it within your everyday. This really is a blend between higher level wisdom and integrating it into more so like practical daily knowledge. So for some of you, this is a call around, okay, you've studied, you've absorbed all of these things. When are you going to start living it? When are you going to start showing up within your everyday, within your immediate surroundings as that? And with this lunation falling in your 3rd house, you could be more sensitive around social media. So it might be nice to take a little detox because you can be absorbing a lot of emotions of sort of the collective based on the messages that are being shared your way, as well as, and while I'm asking for sort of sealing off your digital space, I would encourage communicate with people, because with this lunation, you can receive messages from source through like contacts that you see every day. Like I'm talking like your barista in the morning, like the flower shop that you always get flowers from, like someone saying something that's actually very profound is exactly what you need to hear. Whether it's a message that's given to you or a message that you transmit, I want you to find the sort of deeper mystical significations throughout those daily practical interactions around you. So love, if you have this Pisces full moon landing within the 4th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Sagittarius rising, not always though, if you use Placidus house system. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces. So for you, my love, you have mutable signs in your angular houses. So it's a scattered time. There's a lot of energy. You could be feeling overwhelmed, trying to be all of the things to all of the people. There can be certain conflicts that are bubbling within one-to-one connections, because you do have Mars in the 7th house of your astrological natal chart and you're feeling scattered. A lot of work responsibilities are calling at you at this time. And with this Pisces full moon, I'm encouraging you to take a little vacay or take a little step back from the daily grind, because with the Virgo sun, you know, in your 10th house, you've been busy, you've been working a lot, lots been going on, you're scattered, people have been putting more pressure on you, your relationships have been requiring more attention and effort. And this lunation is like, hold on, what makes me happy in the bigger scheme? Because for some of you, it feels like there can be a sensation of apathy or something building around you've been really drained around staying on top of all your responsibilities and doing all of these things for other people, that you're almost getting to the space of like nihilism, where you're almost like, well, what does matter? You know what I mean? Like, you've been so busy doing so much that there's almost a sense of emptiness within it. And this full moon is asking you to fill yourself back up. Did you know solitude means full of spirit? Like, we often think of solitude as loneliness, but it's not. It's taking that space to reconnect, to fill our soul up with what it is that fuels us. And so this is the house of home. So I'm not saying all of you needed to stay at home, but it's also an illumination around what makes your soul feel at home, what makes you feel safe in the bigger perspective of it all. For some of you, you can feel called to spend time with family, or there can be certain emotional reveals around family. Keep in mind you have Neptune there, so you're a little bit more sensitive to family matters. So that's one thing I do want to draw into focus. But with this lunation, it's asking you, what makes your soul feel at home, okay? And how can you give yourself that big picture vision so you are more present when you're doing all of the things for all of the people? It's also encouraging you, how can you return to your big picture when you're at home? Like, do you need a meditation corner of your house? Do you need to be able to clear out junk so you don't feel so cluttered and scattered when you are at home? For some of you, this isn't the time that I would say, like, move, because like I said, for mutables, there's a lot of energy building within the cosmos right now, but you can have illuminations around this space does not make my soul feel safe. This is not the sanctuary that makes me feel at ease and makes me feel soothed within the grander scheme of life. So truly, with this lunation, it's taking a step back from the daily grind to ask, what makes me happy? What makes my soul feel safe? Because this is the base of the zodiacal wheel. This is the roots of the tree, so to speak. This is all of the private parts to your life that fuel all of the leaves or all of the more external parts that people can see. It's around what makes me feel nourished to a soul level. What is it that makes me feel safe? Who is it that I feel safe around? Is my home environment truly reflective of what grants me a sense of spiritual serenity? And what shifts can I make in order to find that? That's what this Pisces full moon is bringing to the surface. So if you have this Pisces full moon landing in the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Scorpio rising, not always though. So I want you to simply go by which house and which reading you have 17 degrees Pisces. And if you don't know, just find your rising sign. Okay, love. So for you, this lunation is around what is my sense of fun within the big picture. Now, I do want to give a cautionary around if there is any house placement that is most likely to overindulge with this full moon, it is you. Because a lot of you could have been really caught up, really sort of drained, really exhausted, and it almost feels like this desire around routines and everything's been so overwhelming that you almost are feeling this call around, I just need to escape. I need a vacay from my mind. A lot of you are dealing with some deeper stuff that's coming to the surface right now, because if you have this here, you most likely have Mercury stationing or actually moving retrograde at this time within your 12th house of your natal chart. But within the 12th house of your natal chart, which is sort of bubbling up all of these insights and things of the nature, and Mars is going to station retrograde within your 8th house. So it's like some deeper messaging coming to the surface. And for some of you, you might be like, I can't, time out, just numb me out. I don't want to face these deep emotions. I don't want to face this stuff. I just need to get as drunk or as inebriated as possible because I can't deal with it. And with 5th house, it's fun. So it's like wanting the sensation of fun and carefree, but it's like when you're in that space, when you're looking for numbness, you know, it's not exactly the fun, carefree activity that you had in mind. It's really looking for escape. And you could be so bogged down by all this heavy stuff of life and routines and obligations that you're almost like, I just need to have fun. But I really, while this is a full moon to have fun, I'm so sorry to start this so deep and intense. While this is a full moon to have fun, I want you to really check in. Am I enhancing my experience, deepening my connection? When I'm like, you know, flying a kite with my child, or when I'm like creating this artwork, or I'm chilling by the river looking at the clouds. Am I enhancing this experience, or am I numbing myself from it? And any sense of escape or sense of fun that enhances your experience is exactly what you should be doing with this full moon. And anything that numbs you out, where it's like, I just need to numb my emotions, is not it. Does that make sense? While this full moon can be emotional, it can be sensitive, I don't want you to run from that. I don't want you to go overboard, because you most likely are the most likely to be overindulgent with this full moon based on where it is that it is landing. And it might be fun, but it's like the next morning just waking up hungover and being like, what did I learn from that? What did I gain from that? And yes, if you just spend that afternoon instead of day drinking, sitting by the river looking at the clouds, you might cry when you have to face what's coming to the surface, but that's valuable, right? And I want you to find this escape in ways that are playful and fun and creative based on where it is that it is landing. If you are dating someone, this can be a time of connecting deeper with them to like kind of a spiritual level. It can be a really aligned time to create any sort of artwork, really aligned time to spend time with your children. But again, striving to ground down, striving to enhance the experience rather than numb yourself out from it, striving to really live your life with the urgency and with the presence, particularly with Mars most likely in your 8th house, like really enriching this experience rather than detaching from it, okay? Because there's a way to escape in constructive ways that, yes, is a departure from our day-to-day, departure from our daily routine, departure from, achieving all of our goals, and really is a step back around, am I having fun as I achieve my goals? Has my world just become a repetition around, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this? And am I feeling this drive to escape and to like have fun because of that, because it's gotten more mundane? How can I infuse more joy, more playfulness as I reach my goals? Because the sun is in your 11th house. Now, this is friendships, this is community, this is large audience, and it's also our hopes and dreams. So it's also illuminating that sector, and it's asking, okay, as you work towards your goals, as you attune to your day-to-day, as you put energy towards where it is that you want to be in the future, are you even enjoying the now? Like, are you enjoying the rungs of the ladder, or are you just waiting like, oh, I'll celebrate at the top? I'll celebrate at the top, I'll have fun at the top. Enjoy the process, love. Because I know this message can be so frustrating here, because it's like, no, I need to be successful. I need to be successful, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll be happy. But it's like, trust me, my love, like the message with this full moon is like, for some reason, you are going to be nostalgic about the period of life that you are in right now. And there are going to be regrets if you're like, wow, I never took some time to just have fun, and have fun in constructive ways, not ways that just like numb out and then you get right back to it. Ways that enhance your experience, ways that make you dive deeper into those emotions that you were trying to avoid. That's what this full moon is bringing to the surface. Creativity can be a form of meditation, and I would deeply recommend that during this Pisces full moon. I mean, this is creativity that is like downloaded, that is channeled. So if you are someone who is traditionally creative, so you are someone who makes music or makes art, really carve some space to really connect with source energy by just opening yourself as a conduit and just feel as that art is channeled through you, seriously. Even if you're not someone who would identify yourself as creative, be open to creativity striking in unusual ways this Pisces full moon. So giving yourself the space to be like, okay, I'm going to bake this cake and I'm not going to use ingredients, and let's just see what happens. Or I am going to paint my desk, or I'm going to envision what I want this kitchen to look like. Like, creativity can come through a myriad of ways. And 5th house is all about self-expression, how it is that we put our usness, our own zest into what it is that we are doing. And with this full moon, really opening up some space, whether it's meditating prayer, to really allow yourself to channel a vision or to connect while sort of transmitting that vision from source. So whatever your modality is that you like to express yourself creatively, and even if you're not someone where you typically express yourself creatively, opening up some space. And it's not that this creativity needs to be the most famous, successful thing. Like, 5th house is all about having fun. And with 5th house, it's about creativity that just feels like an extension of ourselves, that just celebrates being alive. Like, allowing yourself to channel that lighthearted, playful, fun energy of the 5th house via putting your own unique mark on this world, via whichever modality you'd like. I also want to bring to the surface, this is the sector of children for those who have children, and it also governs our inner child, so it can be a beautiful time to do an inner child meditation or spend time with your children. There can be illumination around a lack of boundaries with your children. If that's something that you've been working on, this full moon might bring that to the surface around how that is needed, as well as really connecting deeper with your child, really seeing them as a soul and as a spirit and wanting to nourish their becoming. So if the Pisces full moon lands within the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Libra rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces, even if the rising sign is different. If you don't know, simply find the rising sign that you have within your chart and you're good to go. Okay, so your lunation story is really about this balance around spirit and substance, matter and magic, right? And with this lunation, it's really drawing to the surface if you are infusing your daily routine with a honoring of your big picture. If you are making the mundane facets of your world a testament to your spiritual beliefs. And I know this sounds heavy and I know this sounds intense, but it's like, let's say if you work at a nonprofit and you've been getting really lost into the minutia around the day-to-day, around sending all these emails. This is a full moon that's like, remember what it is that you're fighting for. Remember the little puppies, if you work at a shelter, that you were doing this for, or the bigger role that this work plays within your world. A lot of you have been using your work and responsibilities to numb out in a sense, or you could have workaholic tendencies, or just something around self-undoing and work and responsibilities sort of reaching an apex. I also want you to draw to the surface if you've been having any dietary sensitivities. This is a lunation that could bring that to the surface, or if you do have any sensitivities to your daily environment, like certain chemicals around you, this lunation could be bringing those sensitivities to the surface. And again, it's like really allowing those shifts, because that can also help you feel more aligned with your intuition and more present within your day-to-day. If you're constantly having tummy aches or things in the nature because you're not, eating the right foods or not attuned to the nutrients in your diet, this is a lunation that's asking you to realize that you are a vessel for universal source energy, and for you to show up, you need to take care of your practical body. You need to move your body. You need to be eating proper nutrition. You are, a conduit for universal source energy. It's time for you to start acting like it. Like, this is an energy around, maybe you're not an athlete, but like almost treating your body like an athlete in a sense. I'm not saying you have to like run 10 miles every day, but really allowing yourself those daily routines that allow you to show up as the most aligned version of yourself, allow you to show up as that person. And if you've been, numbing yourself out with foods or with substances, this really is shining a light on your habits. And if it's reflective of your purpose and really your essence and your magic within this world, or if it's not. And that's also on both sides. It's not just overeating. If you've been undereating, like this lunation is really bringing the surface for you to show up as the person you're meant to be. You need to start treating your body better, however it may land on the spectrum. Where this full moon is landing in your chart and the themes this full moon in totality really feel like this lovely marriage of mind and body. So this would be a lovely full moon to plan some sort of mind-body activity during, right? So some sort of yoga class, aerial yoga class, Pilates class, something that both takes care of your body while soothes your mind and really gives to your spirit. This full moon can also be an illumination of perhaps some sort of quote unquote new age or woo-woo, whatever you want to call it, but some sort of strategy for healing that is outside of the conventional, that can support your body and healing itself if you have been struggling with any sort of health problems. So integrating something such as acupuncture or supplementing what you're doing with yin yoga, something that really nourishes and gives to your soul, and being open to healing modalities that are outside of the norm, and maybe doing something on the full moon that sort of celebrates you inviting that energy into your world. And 6 houses are daily routine. So for some of you, there can be a message around you need to start integrating more spirituality within your daily routine. Maybe you're someone where it's like, I don't need to meditate. I just get up and I get straight to work. Like, this is a lunation that's saying like, hey, those little pockets of spirit that you put within your day-to-day actually make you more efficient, makes you more productive, makes you more grounded, more aligned. If you're someone where you're like, I don't eat breakfast, I just get right to it. Like this lunation that's saying, hey, all of these little details of your world allow you to show up within your fullness, okay? And I know this is the most fun and glamorous house, but trust me, with this combination, it's asking, how can you infuse more spirit into your day? Maybe it's even like going for a walk at lunch break, looking at the clouds, remembering your why. For some of you, if you have pets, it can be a lunation that's really bringing to the surface how much it is that you love them and how much they open your heart space, and maybe even observing them as spiritual teachers around what it means to be a vessel for love. And with 6th house, it's also asking, like, I know work is work sometimes. It's boring, it's annoying, whatever. But with this lunation, it's asking, how can I show up with more heart, with more compassion, with more selflessness as I do go about my work in this lifetime? So if this lunation lands within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Virgo rising, not always though. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces, even if the rising sign is different. If you do not know how to find that, simply go by the rising sign and you are good to go. Okay, love. So woo, you have been, a lot's happening in your chart, so to speak. Because this lunation is lighting up your chart like the 4th of July, right? You're feeling pulled in a lot of different directions. And since you have Virgo in the first house, at least partly, even if you're not a Virgo rising, you have some sort of, whether it's ego attachment, it's something where you need to be seen as the one who's got it all together. And this lunation is reminding you that it's safe and it's okay to trust other people. It's okay to merge into connections because you have some sort of attachment around, I've got to be the one who's got it all together. I'm not someone who's vulnerable. Like, I am someone who's got it together. My problems are not anyone else's business. I've got it together. And with this lunation, it's asking, which connections do you feel safe to dissolve into, to surrender into, to merge into, to allow your heart to open? And with this lunation, it's asking you, can you be vulnerable? Can you ask for assistance when it's needed? And that can show up in a lot of different ways. This can show up within our interpersonal relationships. This could show up within our friendships. Also, you have Mars in 10th house, so it also could be like being able to delegate, being able to hire people, being able to voice to your boss, I need help with this. It's realizing you do not have the bandwidth or the time or the space to be able to do everything. Even if you have Virgo in the first house, you cannot do everything. You cannot be everything for everybody, okay? And this lunation is showing that it's okay to have it not all figured out. It's okay to trust other people to meet your needs. It's okay to allow yourself to dissolve into heart and to be compassionate and open your heart to other individuals. Now, for some of you, if you've been struggling to find forgiveness, this can be a lunation that is asking you to forgive your ex or forgive your romantic partner or something of the nature. Some of you, if you've been in a savior role, be mindful of that, because this lunation can really bring to the surface how much you've been playing the savior role around someone who's not really saving themselves. Again, sometimes the most compassionate thing can be to walk away. Now, I'm not saying every single person who has this is going to have a breakup or a friend breakup or a business partner breakup, not at all. But that will be a message for some people. If you've been trying and trying and trying and doing and doing and doing and trying to do people's work for them, and people have been taking advantage of your service-oriented nature and just taking and taking and taking, this can be a lunation that really brings to the surface around how your compassion, your heart space has been taken advantage of, and how other people need to be their own savior. Because with this access, as I highlighted, it's serve or suffer. There is this desire to be of service, but it's like at some point people have to be able to save themselves, okay? And you are someone where you are so service-oriented, you are so helpful. And this lunation where realize I've been trying and I've been doing and I've been doing, and I just need to surrender. I need to surrender into what universal source energy is telling me about this connection. And sometimes the most compassionate thing that you can do is walk away so that people have the opportunity to save themselves. If you've been someone who's like almost propping someone up, right? Like almost like in a codependent connection. So I'm not saying break up, but I am saying surrender. Like, notice what happens if you don't rush to someone's side right away. Notice what happens if you need assistance. Are they there for you? Are your connections really flowing in between the two of you? Like, water is meant to flow, right? So if you've been giving and not receiving much, this lunation is going to bring that to the surface. And I would ask you just kind of surrender, just really check in with your intuition. What's coming to the surface about this connection? Do you feel like it's safe to be vulnerable within this connection? And are people taking advantage of your compassionate nature within this connection? Hi loves, forgive the brief interruption. I just want to chime in because within this reading I was sort of focusing on some of the negative manifestations. I wanted to make sure that I shone light on some of the positive manifestations. Neptune is about dissolving boundaries. So for a lot of you who are committed, this is a lovely full moon around really connecting soul to soul, letting down all of your guards and connecting deeper, really truly being able to see one another, forgiving your partner for any past transgressions or anything where you've had to harden your heart or you haven't felt safe to trust. Like, Neptune really, for better and for worse, really softens our heart space towards individuals. And so this would be really lovely for a date with your love, maybe by the ocean, or if you guys want to go to retreat together or pray together or meditate together, something of the nature to just get back to who you are as souls within this connection, outside of responsibilities, outside of routine, outside of all the busyness of daily life. Who is it? What is it that made you guys fall in love with one another? And for some of you, if you have a business partner, this can also be sort of the same sort of illumination. It would be really great to get together to align on
where is it that we are moving? What direction are we moving in? And how can we trust one another more so as business partners, right? Within that pathway. This is the sector of your chart governing contracts. I would be mindful with Neptune, it's rose-colored glasses. So if someone's pressuring you to sign a contract during this full moon with that square to Mars in the 10th house, just say you need the weekend. Just say you need some time. Mercury's retrograde. The downside of this full moon is that we're not seeing clearly when it comes to this sector. So try to push those negotiations off a bit until you're not really looking at them through rose-colored glasses.
So love, if you have this Pisces full moon landing within the 8th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Leo rising, not always though. So make sure to listen to the reading of which house you have 17 degrees Pisces within, even if the rising sign listed is different. If you don't know how to find that, or you don't know, just find your rising sign and you are good to go. Okay, love, so for you, this is this celebration around allowing yourself to receive from other people. For some of you, I don't know where exactly it's coming from, but there is either like an ego attachment or something around being the one who can take care of myself. I can take care of myself. I'm independent. I'm self-sufficient. I don't need anybody to help me. And when you say, I don't need anyone to help me, you're also saying, universe, I don't need you to help me. Because 8th house is support that we receive from other people as well as the universe as a whole. So it's like when you've been shutting yourself out, like, oh, no, I don't need help. You don't need to lend me that money. I don't need to outsource this task. You're also saying, universe, you don't need to flow into me, right? I can take care of myself. I can pay my own bills. For some of you, you can be getting a gift around this time. Someone can be offering you something, whether it is, you know, like a present or some money or some support. And I want you to feel worthy of receiving. You don't need to do in order to receive, because if you have this here, you have Virgo in the 2nd house. And 2nd house is value and Virgo is work. So some of you, your value or you feeling like you're a valuable person is tied up into the work that you do for other people. So it's like part of you, you can have this resistance around accepting support or even accepting gifts, accepting compliments, because you're like, I can do it. I can take care of myself, because in some part you equate your value with how much you do or what it is that you do. And this lunation is asking you, you are worthy just because you are a being. And the universe is like asking you to see yourself as the soul and as the magic that they see you as, and to realize you don't have to do in order to receive. So if someone here on planet Earth offers you a gift, receive it. If the universe offers some synchronistic experience that comes up, receive it. And support can come up in a myriad of ways. It could be people helping you with your task, people offering a compliment, people offering to pay a bill or buy you dinner. Receive. Okay. I also want you to notice, like, how do you accept compliments? Like when someone says, oh my gosh, you look stunning today. Like, are you like, thank you? Or are you someone where you're like, oh, you? Because this is what, like, a lot of people who have this will be Leo rising, not everybody though. And this is what a lot of people get wrong about Leo energy is people will say, you know, Leo energy is so self-centered and so egotistical or whatever. But it's like they are constantly warming the lights of other people. And it's like, if you think about the sun, does the sun know that it shines? Does it know the warmth and the glow that it exudes, right? And so what people perceive as Leo being, you know, egotistical is like they crave that validation. They crave that warmth in return. And it's so often deprived from them. And with this lunation, it's really bringing to the surface your ability to receive. Okay. And if you are someone who is married, there can be an illumination around your spouse's income or support to you or something of the nature. If you've been dealing with any sort of like inheritances or lawsuits or money flowing to you in a myriad of ways, even like discounts, money you would have spent, random checks in the mail, like allow support to make its way to you in any sort of way. Like we suffocate the flow of money when we ask, okay, it just needs to show up in this way, just needs to show up through my job. Like allow yourself to receive blessings and gifts from the universe, from other people. Just be an open channel and to be grateful when it comes up. I shared this a little bit in the 2nd house reading, but I also want to share it here. It's so often that we refer to money themes as like water themes, like streams of income, flow of abundance, things of the nature. And with this lunation, it's asking you to allow money to flow to you and support to flow to you with this watery full moon, and to know that you are worthy of everything that's coming your way. And with 8th house, it's also unalive. thing, and I'm not saying that's happening, but it is a time to connect to what remains when we don't. Our spirit, our substance. So if you're someone you've been caught up in working in order to buy this, that, and the other, to buy all these nice things, this lunation, which brings you back to what truly matters within my world. What will I regret when I am on my unalive bed? Like, what will I not feel dialed into? And how can I bring more spirit, more alignment with the universe, daily world, so I don't have those regrets? Like, where am I getting caught up in doing, that I'm not taking the space to attune to what it is that truly matters in this experience of life, right? That's what this lunation is bringing to the surface. If this Pisces full moon lands within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Cancer rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces, even if the rising sign is different. If you do not know how to find degrees within your chart, just listen to your rising sign and you're perfect. Okay, my love, so this is a lunation that asks you literally take a vacation. I mean, this is a little last minute, so you may not have the time or the bandwidth to be able to book a last minute jet set across the world, but it is asking, take a little siesta, take a little respite from the daily grind, from the mundane aspects. You need a vacation from your mind, okay? Because this Virgo sun in 3rd house, there are so many thoughts going through your brain. There's so many things you're trying to keep track of, and I can already hear the protests. You're like, no, but you don't understand. I have this, that, and the other. Trust me, take a beat. Take a beat, turn your phone off for the day, go somewhere isolated and connect to spirit. Get all of the woo-woo things, whether that is astrology books, whether that is cards, whether that's a Bible. I want you to pray, I want you to meditate, I want you to connect to your big picture, even, especially if you don't feel like you have time. Because what this full moon is asking you is, what is it that you believe? What gives you a sense of spiritual connection within your big picture, of spiritual safety, of spiritual stability, and connect to that. What gives you a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose? And that can be found certainly within religion, within spirituality, but also within academia. For some who are in school, it could be a busy time, but it's important to connect to the bigger picture of it. Like, why do I want my degree? What is the role I'm seeking to play within this experience, right? 9th house is also travel. So some of you physically could be traveled right now, which I love that. But also maybe attuning to the bigger picture around, oh my gosh, I used to dream about jet setting. Why have I not made the space to travel? If that's the one thing that I want to do, why have I got so caught in the to-dos and being of service to everybody else that I haven't made time to be able to connect to my big picture? I do want to let you know that you have Mars most likely in your 12th house, and that's where it's most likely going to station retrograde within your chart. And so for you, your energy levels can be lulling. And I don't want you to take that hard on yourself, because I mean, you have Virgo in part ruling your 3rd house, so I know you are someone who is a little bit more critical on yourself. And you might feel like, come on, do the things. But this is a time that the universe is asking you, just rest. Okay, connect to the bigger picture, show up for what really matters to you, but also pay attention to when you go to do something and your energy is drained. Like, your energy is trying to tell you something, and you could really fight against this influence and be like, no, you need to do this, but it's like, Spirit's trying to tell you, you are not meant to do this any longer. That's what we're trying to tell you when your energy is sapped, okay? So I want you to observe that, connect to your bigger picture, and align to your spirit during this Pisces full moon. So my love, if you have this Pisces full moon illuminating the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Gemini rising, not always though, so simply go by the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces. So you have mutable signs in the angular houses, so you are scattered, you are overwhelmed, you are all over the place, and this lunation is bringing to the surface your career and your public persona and what role you play. And with this lunation, it's asking you to return to your why, particularly as it relates to your professional career. And you might be someone where you're like, hey, Comet, I'm not really happy where I am in my career. What important skills are you dialing into that are going to help you? It's like attuning to the big picture of it. Now, if you are in a role that you love, this is a lunation around bringing to the surface your bigger sense of connection to it. Like, if you've been someone who's getting so lost in the minutia of showing up, of doing all the things, this is a lunation that's like, remember your why. Remember when you used to dream about this 10 years ago. Remember, like if you ever get in a competitive mood or where you're like things aren't happening fast enough because you do have Mars in your first house currently, and that's where it'll most likely station retrograde coming up. If you are someone where you're getting so like in a rush for everything to happen, I want you to observe and compete with the version of you 5 years ago. Like the version of you 5 years ago would want something that you currently have. So taking a space to celebrate yourself, be like, wow, okay, I might not be exactly where I want to be, but I'm closer than I was. And being able to celebrate that. For some of you, this full moon, if you don't have a job at all, it's asking you to surrender. It's like the universe has a plan. Let me keep my eyes open. Let me follow my intuition around what are my next steps. This is also the house of authority figures. So for some of you, there can be like a forgiveness or heart opening energy with authority figure, or really feeling connected to the role that you play within the big picture. If you're a business owner or something of the nature, this can be bringing to the surface your lack of boundaries that you've had, and you've been doing it all. Like you have Mars in the first house. You've been running around trying to do all the things. And also there can be some family things that are coming to the surface because you have Virgo in your fourth house. And this illumination around, okay, if your work is sort of a vessel of your heart space and your soul space, are you taking care of yourself in that pursuit for more success, right? More satisfaction within it. Because some of you, you can be having really bad boundaries, like working too much or going above and beyond for customers, even if it's draining you. So this illumination is asking, it's beautiful to be a conduit and a force for universal source energy, but it's not okay to absolutely deplete yourself energetically in this pursuit to be of service, okay? Like truly being of service, whether you work in something kind of like woo-woo or spiritual or not, either way, for you to play the role within the universe and to make the impact that you are here to make, it's important that you have boundaries, that you are treating yourself as the gift and the brand of magic that you are. And right now I know, because I see your chart and it's like so much is lighting up around, you got to do more, you got to be everything for everyone. And it's like this illumination that's asking you, take a step back, enjoy the fruits of your labor that have bared, look forward to the beautiful twists and turns that your career will continue to unfold, and allow yourself to return to yourself as a spirit. If you've been feeling like a machine, just running and running and running and running and not taking any time for yourself, this is a step back to remember, before I am a business, before I am an employee, before I am this and that, I am a human being, and it's time to nourish the soul of that person. If this Pisces full moon lands within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Taurus rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces. So love, this is an illumination of your friendships and of your hopes and dreams. It's really bringing to the surface who it is that you are surrounded by, okay? Because a lot of what's happening in the cosmos are asking you to prioritize yourself, to put yourself first. Again, that's the North Node, most likely going to your first house. I have an eclipse video coming out because that's on the horizon. But this is illumination that asks you to take a step back and really reflect on who's by your side as you pursue and attain the goals that you want. And are they individuals that are truly nourishing you, or are they depleting you? Because most likely if you have Taurus rising, not everyone will, I know, but you are someone who is very loyal and you give a lot to your connections. Like it's not something that you just give willy-nilly. Like you are really about the people that you are about. And if there are certain friendships that are taking advantage of it, where you haven't had good boundaries, this illumination can bring that to the surface. It's really asking you, look at how it is that you are being of service to your friendship group, and if you are receiving that within return, and if you are enjoying the process of reaching your goals, right? Like with this axis, there can be this energy or this frustration around, why am I not further than I am? But this illumination is like, babe, take a step back. Are you enjoying this process? Are you enjoying these rungs on the ladder, or are you just waiting for that inevitable day when you feel like you're at the top? Because trust me, love, as soon as you're at the top of that ladder, another one will just emerge. It's just the human nature. We're constantly wanting and desiring. And this is a illumination that's asking, celebrate the world that you've built, the community around you, because it's not everybody is going to have this illumination around, oh, I need better boundaries. I cannot be there for this person all the time. Some of you can have this really heart-centered energy around really feeling held and celebrated and vulnerable within your connections, really allowing yourself to enjoy the hopes and dreams that you have attained and to celebrate that and to enjoy the process of it. And I spy that Mars in your second house in that rush to achieve more, do more, earn earn more, right? Are you enjoying the process? Are you working towards the hopes and dreams that you want to? Does that feel out of alignment? If you're someone who used to dream about being an artist and now you're largely successful as a corporate lawyer, but you never do art, like maybe this illumination where it's like, I used to love art. Like, can I start painting on the weekends as a way to connect to universal source energy, way to connect with muse? It is a time to ensure in this rush around gotta do more, gotta achieve more, gotta earn more, are you even going in the right direction? Are you so eager to climb up the ladder that you're not even realizing, oh, this isn't even placed the right wall. This is not where I'm trying to go. This is not the people I'm trying to be surrounded by. Like, this would be a really aligned illumination around if you are like working like in a corporate environment or any sort of industry, really. Looking at the industry leaders and be like, do I want their lives? Am I working towards the right goals? And recalibrate if not.
This would be such a beautiful full moon to be around a community of individuals who you feel are like-minded souls. Now, this could be online. This could be an in-person Pisces full moon ritual. This could even just be going out dancing with your friends. Anyone who you feel like you're on a similar path in life, you all envision similar futures for yourself. It's very important when we talk about the 11th house that we consider it's right next to the 10th house for a reason. See, 10th house is our aspirations and our career. 11th house is the audiences and the groups and the friends who help us on that mission, right? So while this full moon can be illumination around, ooh, I'm not feeling so inspired about the people I'm surrounded by, it can also be, I am so inspired by the individuals I'm surrounded by and what it is that we are building and working towards within this world. So really a lovely time to put yourself out there, whether it's going to that group event that you're typically a little shy about or getting your friends together, something that you can really feel held and seen and soulfully connected to individuals who you see eye to eye with, soul to soul with.
So loves, if this Pisces full moon lands within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be Aries rising, not always though, so make sure to just listen to the reading of where you have 17 degrees Pisces, even if the rising sign is different. If you don't know how to find the degrees, just find your rising sign and you are golden, my love. So for you, this lunation is really bringing to the surface around where it is that you have been self-sabotaging, okay? Some of you have been self-sabotaging around being so busy that you can't even think. Like feeling like if I keep myself busy that I don't have to face my thoughts and I don't have to face anything. Some of you will have to come face to face with any escapist or addictive tendencies, really. This lunation is super bringing that to the surface. And whether it's escaping via work, escaping via substances, there are certain vices within your world that may have gotten out of control because Neptune lacks boundaries, just dissolves. And with this here, you really need to look at that. You really need to look at these things and if they are enhancing your world or numbing you out from them. If you are dealing with your emotions and your mind in a healthy way or in a way where it's just ignoring, because this is the house of shadows. So I do want to prep you. This lunation can be intense. It can be emotional. There are things that you've been running from. There have been certain ways of which that you talk to yourself that you have been running from, that you have been avoiding, that you've not been head on about, right? And with this lunation, it's connecting your 6th house and your 3rd house. Like you've been running, you've been staying busy, not trying to deal with these things. And this is a lunation where it's like, just surrender, just be still. Some of you can be a little afraid to be alone. Like you have been just surrounded by people, whether it's at work or just being around like, acquaintances, because you don't want to be alone. You don't want to face that stuff. But I would really encourage you, spend some time in solitude this weekend, the Pisces full moon. Solitude actually means full of spirit. We so often think of it as very isolating and lonely, and it really is your perspective. You can be full of spirit even when you're alone, right? It doesn't need to be this depressing or draining thing. It's a communion with your soul. It's a communion with your purpose. This is the woo-woo moon of all woo-woo moons. This is a time to connect to your spirit guides. This is a time to tune into your intuition. What is coming to the surface? Because your intuition is the most accurate voice in this world, but it's quiet. And you have Virgo sun in 6th house, so you've been busy. A lot has been happening. But in that rush, there can be certain messages that have not been coming to the surface, and this is the full moon to let them.
Love, I will never be dishonest with you. So I do want to let you know that this full moon can be heavy. It's important to know that you are ending a cycle. the 12th house is the final house in the zodiacal wheel. And from that lens, it represents endings. And there can be certain endings at this time transpiring, or this desire to need to surrender into what your life is shifting and evolving into. And some of these endings can be positive, as I illuminated, ending self-sabotaging habits that you have, ending tendencies to fear being alone, ending sort of feeling suffocated from your intuition, ending any sort of self-sabotage that comes from within. Those are positive ways, but I also want to let you know there can be other elements of your life that are ending or that you are releasing at this time, or at least give the appearance of such. And I really want you to lean into this energy of trust and surrender, even when it's challenging. The 12th house can be very, very heavy. It deals with themes that are intense on the psyche. And I want you to trust that what it is that is falling away at this time is meant to be, even if you can't see it in the thick of it, allowing yourself in that dark night of the soul, or in those moments when you are holding on to something and it just feels like it's slipping through your fingers, to trust there's got to be some reason why the universe is releasing this from my world. There's got to be a reason why I'm being asked to shed what is not serving at this time. Because like I said, this is truly a closing of a chapter. It's closing out the final full moon of the zodiacal cycle, right, within your chart. So I want you to trust in the shifts that are taking place. And while 12th house is solitude, as I highlighted, I also want to show you the other side of the coin that some of you will be experiencing, because we can view solitude as meditation and intuition, which I deeply encourage with this lunation. But I also want to let you know that some of you can feel very isolated. You can feel very removed and detached from the outside world. And in those moments of feeling isolated, it's really important to connect spiritually, to know that even in those moments that you feel like you are alone, you truly are not, and to be able to face the skeletons in your closet or what is coming to the surface at this time.
So I'm wishing you all such a beautiful Pisces full moon. If you wouldn't mind, if you got any value from this video, you can consider dropping a like, commenting, sharing, subscribing, any button, any little nudge is so helpful. I do have some membership options if you want to more deeply support the channel. I so appreciate you. I'm wishing you all such a magical Pisces full moon, this lovely balance of the practicality of Virgo with the mysticism of Pisces. I hope you all have such a beautiful, aligned, magical time celebrating. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.